situation in the east of the Democratic Republic of the Congo is deteriorating. Recent fighting between the National Army and the Rwandan government-backed M23 rebel group left more than 100 people dead. And the Israeli genocidal forces continue their siege of the West Bank, where they killed a young man in the town of Jenin, and on Wednesday, in Gaza, the killing continues with different methods. And according to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, nearly 66,000 migrants have been arrested. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The situation in the east of the Democratic Republic of the Congo is deteriorating. Recent fighting between the National Army and the Rwandan government-backed M23 rebel group left more than 100 people dead. With memories of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi still fresh, the authorities in North Kivu have confirmed that more than 1,000 people have been wounded and 500,000 displaced. The toll is the result of the clashes between the M23 rebels backed by 4,000 Rwandan soldiers and the Congolese army. Doctors from the International Committee of the Red Cross have reported grueling days treating serious injuries and seeing many bodies on the streets of Goma, the capital of North Kivu. The Israeli genocidal forces continue their siege of the West Bank, where they killed a young man in the town of Jenin on Wednesday. In Gaza, the killing continues with different methods. The Zionists did not respect the ceasefire in Gaza for a single day. On Wednesday morning, their boats wounded several fishermen in Han Yunis, south of the Strip, where they also arrested 2 of them. The mayor of Deir el-Stilla, northwest of Salfit, Abdul Rahim Zidan, confirmed that the genocidal troops fired toxic gases at several houses in the area, killing a whole family, including a baby. All of them died of suffocation. On the other hand, the Red Crescent has confirmed the killing of 25-year-old Omar al-Haya. The young man was attacked by a drone in the city of Jenin. And in Palestine, over 376,000 Palestinians have returned to northern Gaza in the last 48 hours after the ceasefire came into force. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs reported that Palestinians are returning to Gaza City and the Palestinian towns of Jabalia, Beit Lahaya, and Beit Hanun, areas that were hit by the Israeli occupation during 15 consecutive months. The United Nations Office also emphasized that most of the returnees are men, a quarter are women, and the other quarter are children. Meanwhile, OSHA pointed out that most of the displaced have set up tents next to their destroyed homes. And the United Nations Agency for Palestine Refugees accused Israel of trying to sabotage the recovery and political transition of Gaza. UNRWA's chief, Philip Lazzarini, made the accusation after the Zionist regime ordered to forcibly close the agency. Experts say that the government of Benjamin Netanyahu wants to strip the Palestinians of their refugee status and deny them their right to self-determination, in addition to erasing their history and identity. Lazzarini argues that curtailing its operations, in addition to undermining the ceasefire and compromising the international humanitarian response, will sabotage the recovery and political transition of Gaza.
Mr. President, the Knesset legislation defies resolution of this Council and the General Assembly. It flouts the ruling of the International Court of Justice. It disregards that UNRWA is a mechanism established by the General Assembly to provide assistance to Palestinian refugees pending a political answer to the question of Palestine. Implementing the legislations makes a mockery of international law and imposes massive constraints on UNRWA's operation.
And New Zealand will not allow entry into its territory of Israeli soldiers involved in the genocide in Gaza. Since the onset of the Zionist onslaught, New Zealand authorities put in place a screening process. It specifies the necessary requirements, many of which are related to the traveler's military service and the length of time they performed it. The measure has recently gained prominence as the country barred entry to an unspecified group of Israelis who refused to provide the information. Palestinian Solidarity Networks conduct a major international campaign to identify the Israeli soldiers, many of whom have publicized their war crimes on social media. Russian air defense forces shot down more than 130 Ukrainian drones in 9 areas of the country. The Russian Defense Ministry said approximately half of the destroyed drones were shot down in the Kursk border region. The Defense Ministry also detailed that another 27 unmanned aerial vehicles were shot down in the Bryansk region, which also borders Ukrainian territory, while another 11 Ukrainian UAVs were eliminated in the western area of Smolensk, bordering Belarus. Ukraine intensified its offensive against Russian territory during the last week. And the Belarusian government expects to become a full member of the BRICS Political Economic Forum. Foreign Minister Maxim Ryzhenkov stressed that being a member of the BRICS and interacting in the alliance allows to expand strategic ties with countries and trade partners at a global level. Ryzhenkov also indicated that the bloc promotes the development and growth of bilateral relations at the highest level in areas such as politics, economy, culture, technology, among others. The diplomat pointed out that his country is aligned with the new global needs and seeks to contribute to the policy of multipolarity with which the BRICS are identified at present in order to preserve and build real peace and support each other's peoples at all levels. We now have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger will no longer be part of the Economic Community of West African States as of Wednesday. The split leaves the grouping with about 50% of the region. The three countries have formed the Confederation of Sahel States, a very important milestone in the region. The consequences for the Sahel are enormous, particularly in terms of economic impact, but it's also a reflection of the inability of the states that make up the economic community to deal with the crisis. The Sahel formally accepted the three countries' request to leave in December of this year. The new alliance that makes up the Confederation will maintain relations with the ECOWAS states, but will distance itself from what it sees as behavior that is far removed from Pan-Africanism. Australia's emergency services report wildfires that devastated thousands of hectares in the southeast of the country. According to the data provided by the authorities, the combination of hot and dry weather conditions favored the spread of the fire in several natural parks. Among these is Little Desert National Park, with at least 65,000 hectares destroyed in less than 24 hours. Emergency services continue to work to contain the flames, as well as to protect wildlife and nearby communities. So far, no casualties or injuries have been reported. And according to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, nearly 6,000 migrants have been arrested. The agency updated that 969 arrests were added to the 4,981 detentions reported at midday on Tuesday. In this way, the control operations ordered by President Donald Trump amounted to 5,950 arrests who have allegedly committed serious crimes. The federal government has a wide range to define crimes and offensive. In less than 48 hours, they have gone from murderers and thieves to people who are criminals just for entering the country illegally, as the White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt ensured. And in the United States, a federal judge holds the president's decision to suspend public aid and essential assistance programs. Another executive order by the President of the United States has been halted by the courts. In this case, the White House will not be able to freeze federal aid as ordered by the President. The order, which had unleashed a political storm posing a risk to the health of millions of citizens, as well as affecting the energy transition and international aid, was blocked by a federal judge in Washington. The decision runs until February 3rd and has received strong support from the attorneys general of 23 states, who announced they will challenge the president's actions. The World Health Organization warned of serious consequences to low and middle-income nations in their programs to combat the human immunodeficiency virus due to Trump's administration's decision to immediately suspend its funding. The WHO stated that those programs provided access to therapies against the virus to over 30 million people worldwide. The entity further alerted that the end of U.S. sponsorship could result in an upsurge of new infections and death, which could reverse the progress achieved in recent decades. In this regard, it called on the United States to authorize additional waivers to ensure the provision of life-saving HIV treatment and care. Honduras has responded to the White House's orders against migrants. President Xiomara Castro announced the measures she will take to help her compatriots. The national emergency strategy was announced on national television on Tuesday evening. The Central American nation will implement action programs for the more than 200,000 Hondurans with deportation orders, as well as people of other nationalities. Affirming that human mobility is a phenomenon exacerbated by the implementation of a liberal economic system and reaffirming that migration is a human right, she explained that the plan includes support in areas such as health, social and legal assistance, the creation of shelters, as well as family reunification.
Reitero mi disposición de mantener un estrecho diálogo.
I reaffirm my position to maintain a close dialogue with the United States of America so that our policies of reciprocity and respect are confirmed by both nations for the sake of our peoples. I inform the Honduran people that I decree and enact the National Emergency Strategy for the protection of Honduran migrants, which includes an action program for the following groups of migrants: Hondurans in an irregular migratory situation in the United States, Honduran migrants in transit, Honduran returnees. These emergency action programs force us to make cuts in public administration and budgetary efforts within the difficult condition in which we find ourselves in our country. The programs include economic and social rehabilitation.
Los programas incluyen reintegración económica.
We now have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. The National Electoral Council of Ecuador is progressing in its preparations of the general elections to be held on Sunday, February 9, 2025. The ruling entity detailed that the electoral material is already distributed in 13 out of the 14 domestic provinces, as well as abroad. The National Electoral Council further added that those ballots will be safeguarded by the security forces, especially in the localities where high levels of violence are being registered. Official data revealed that January was the most violent month ever in Ecuadorian history, as in just 25 days at least 600 people had been killed by armed groups. In Venezuela, during the plenary session of the Federal Government Council 2025, the President Nicolás Maduro referred to the Venezuelan people's capacity to move forward. During the ceremony, President Maduro urged the Secretariat of the Federal Council of Government to work collectively to solve the main problems of the territory, taking into account, in the first place, the people's power. He also emphasized that next April 27th, the elections for deputies to the National Assembly as well as for governors and members of the legislative councils will be held, emphasizing that in spite of sanctions and the constant attacks by the United States on the economy, the country has managed to move forward. The President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, also presented decorations and led a farewell ceremony to the ambassadors of Iran and Algeria at the Miraflores Palace in the city of Caracas. During the ceremony, he awarded the Francisco de Miranda Order in its first class to diplomats Hoyatola Soltani and Yassin Hadji in recognition to their outstanding work in the country. Venezuela and Iran share a historical relationship highlighted by their joint membership in the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and the Non-Aligned Countries movement, while relations with Algeria have been strengthened since 1971. President Maduro highlighted Bolivarian peace diplomacy as a key driver for a multipolar world. In the presence of the Cuban head of state Miguel Díaz-Canel, members of the Council of State and Ministers, the 6th International Conference on the Balance of the World was inaugurated on Tuesday in Havana, the country's capital. The event, considered a forum of plural and multidisciplinary thought, brings together world leaders and representatives of social organizations to promote dialogue between civilizations without hegemonism and with a culture of peace. Hector Hernandez Prado, coordinator of the organizing committee and president of the International Preparatory Committee, said that more than 900 foreign delegates from 93 countries take part in the event. Leaders and activists attending this conference recognize that it is an opportunity to come up with ideas against barbarism.
We come here for turning into a reality what Marty said, trenches of ideas worth over trenches of stone to unite the peoples of the Americas.
I
am seeing now that Trump is threatening all countries. It is incredible. In less than 2 weeks he is threatening countries from Latin America to Africa to wherever, and that is horrible. And we are going to have a horrible time. However, people around the world are opening their eyes, so they said, the Biden's administration was pretty lousy. But this one is going to be worse. What are we going to do? I think the good thing is that we are opening our eyes, and we are uniting. As we are here in Havana, thus, we will face together what is coming, now with that bad administration.
And hundreds of millions of people across Asia celebrate the Lunar New Year, ending the Year of the Dragon and welcoming the Year of the Snake. During this period, the Chinese enjoy 8 consecutive public holidays for the Spring Festival 2025. During the traditional 40-day period before, during and after the Lunar New Year holidays, some 9 billion interprovincial passenger trips are expected to be made on all modes of transportation, according to the state news agency Xinhua. In many parts of East and Southeast Asia, including China, South Korea, Singapore, Vietnam, and Thailand, houses and public buildings are decorated with traditional red banners to ward off evil. This year, the festivities even extended into space, with Chinese astronauts Kai Shusi, Song Lingdong, and Wang Haosi sending New Year greetings from the Tiangong space station on Tuesday. And the head of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis, greeted the Chinese people on the occasion of the Lunar New Year during his general audience this Wednesday.
I cordially greet the Chinese-speaking people, dear brothers and sisters in East Asia and in various parts of the world. Millions of families are celebrating today the Lunar New Year, an occasion to live with greater intensity family relationships and friendship. With my best wishes for the new year, may my blessing reach all of you while I invoke for each of you from the Lord, peace, serenity, and health.
Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.